Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. Just a little bit late because I was talking and getting carried away with myself. But actually, I shouldn't start in a jolly way because before we say anything else, we need to mention this that in Indonesia, in Jakarta, there's been a fire at the terror drone headquarters, and it's allegedly killed 22 people, and it might be a battery fire. So let's get rid of the audio on that and do that. So a reminder really, to be careful out there. I don't know if anyone, obviously our condolences from SOS News and from everybody. A terrible time for friends and family and terror drone. And
is it terror as in T-E-R-R-A or terror?
It is. It is. I'm not going to make that joke. But
no,
amazing.
I honestly didn't know.
Oh yeah, T-E-R-R-A. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the guys being rescued from the
shades of 9/11, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a heck of a thing. And
it really just shows how bad these battery fires can be. And especially if they're not in the right environment as well. So you should have, if there are batteries that can, then you should have them around to make sure you can get rid of. You can extinguish the fire.
Go back to petrol powered drones, eh?
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So. Not a very jolly day.
That was good. That was good.
Well, it's good. Did I disappear as I switched it off?
You did, yes.
You froze for a bit.
Yes.
Well, it's for the best, isn't it? It's for the best that I'm frozen.
Yeah.
Now, allegedly, they told me on this stream that I can put live links in here from today. We can actually click the links, which we haven't been able to do in the past.
Nah.
But they lied.
Of course they lied. They just wanted your money.
No, they didn't get any more money out of me, but allegedly links were clickable, but they're not. So yeah, bad news, really bad form, all in all. Now, astute, dear readers and viewers will have noticed Richard Ryan in the corner, and when Richard's in the corner, there's generally trouble in the land for some reason or other. And this time it's back to, if you can cast your mind back a little way, to the police drone incident in the UK where a child was injured. Richard, do you want to start unpacking what you've done? Why have I brought you in again?
I don't remember. I must have an element of Bruce just hitting me there.
I just want to say nobody puts Richard in the corner.
There you go.
Oh, that's me and you going for a dance later.
No change there then.
Exactly. So what I did, going to the number of questions, suddenly I've just recalled it. Must be something going on. So I picked up on the fact that we had this drone crash in the Isle of Sheppey where the drone was being operated by the police at the time. It crashed into some power lines and fell on a child and injured the child. And I thought, well, what's going on here? I'd like to learn a little bit more about this. So I put in Freedom of Information Act requests to the NPCC, the AAIB and the CAA to really understand what the pattern was with respect to how this was reported, but also how did this actually occur? What was the problem with the drone? Was it human error? Was it an issue with the drone for it to go into overhead power cables? And so I thought, well, let's ask a bunch of questions and see if we can get some commonality between the three FOI responses. And Gary, what you've kindly done here is highlight exactly where there is some disparity and no coordination. And here we're looking at safety governance, the national incident data. So what do they hold in relation to the Isle of Sheppey, and also the BV loss trial safety cases, because we know that the NPCC are conducting those at the moment and have been for some time. And so when we look across the board, what information did they have and did not provide? Because under the FOI, Freedom of Information Act requests, one has to say whether they do hold the information but can't provide it and the reasons why they can't provide it. There's also a neither confirm nor deny aspect that they can also employ under the legislation. But when doing so, they have to use the correct tests when applying the exemption as to why they're not providing us with information that we've asked for under the Freedom of Information Act. And so what we get is a whole load of reasons why these organizations don't want to give you the information, when actually it's in the public interest for them to do that. And if they don't, they've got to give you advice as to how to make your requests more relevant or less burdensome or smaller, so there's less cost on them when doing so. So a number of considerations, but they've got to come back to you and they've got to cooperate reasonably. If they don't, which is the next stage that we're going to do here, is request an internal review of some of these decisions that they've made. Because if the AIB can answer the questions, it would naturally apply that the CAA should be able to answer the same as well, and the NPCC. So what you've clearly done here is show us red and green of who's answered what and who hasn't, really, straight off the bat. The cost limit, which we can see here, the NPCC applied, is becoming an argument that they're utilising a lot more. But what they don't
jump ahead one.
Yeah, so what they don't realise is where there's a cost limit, they've got to give you advice on how to reduce the scope of the information that you're asking for. So all you do is reduce the scope 5 times to get to the same end result. So bureaucratically, we are asking them to do the one job on 5 different occasions so we get a complete picture.
Well, I thought this was quite interesting that they said they did a dip sample. So this is why it became expensive, because they did a dip sample research of one of the 28 individuals who are involved in this, and the word BV loss and drones, first responders, and all these sort of terms. Well, that's not really what you were asking. But I'm putting this badly. But what this highlighted to me was that they don't have some sort, or it would seem that they don't have a safety management system in place and a way of sharing information between these 28 individuals, which is, shall I say, formal or something like that. I thought their answer in this case actually revealed a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it is that, and ultimately, are the search terms the absolute right search terms in order to get the desired results that we're looking for? If all they've done is put in BV loss and drones as first responder, are we actually getting the results within the context of the way that I asked for the information? Well, the answer is no. And what they're doing here is reviewing mailboxes and folders of 28 individuals. What surprises me is that isn't on one, SharePoint or one place. It sounds to me that when they responded, they have to go in manually, is what they say here, review each individual mailbox and go through that work. I would have thought that the emails coming in, especially for something like this, which is considered to be quite serious in nature, because to your point, where is the SMS in this? How are they going to ever consolidate themes of issues when they've got 28 individuals that have different sets of information? If it was all in one place, would it not be easier to extract the right information and assess themes across all 28 individuals and be able to then put forward their best position with respect to what they're doing? I think that's a missed opportunity here from what I can see, and I may be wrong here, because obviously I don't work for the NPCC and know how they set up their systems. But on first blush, that's what I would say. And then secondly, if all you're going to do is go into the search terms of Outlook and put in BV loss and get 10 or 13,000 hits, why aren't you doing BV loss and X in relation to the FOI request that I put in?
Oh, I think that's something to follow up. I thought they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, but what we see here is that actually, when it comes to BV loss and drones as first responders, they've got over 13,000 items of data that's sitting there that nobody at the moment can see, or should be released to the public in the public interest.
And so the CAA just said Section 44(1)(a) of the FOIA Act. Maybe you can unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, so what they're saying here is, under this section of the Act, because the CAA, as the regulator, have an overarching duty to improve aviation safety, there's certain things that come up in that isn't in the public interest or should not be disclosed. Now, for me, I wonder what the tension is between that and SMS and just culture. Because how is the drone industry supposed to learn from police drone accidents? Given the police, one would argue, may have a higher standard of culpability or professionalism because of what they do and how they do it, why that isn't useful data for everybody in the public? Because if we're operating at a higher standard, then surely there are lessons to be learned by everybody in the drone industry at that higher standard, which could be mitigation for other ways of preventing these from happening that one can insert into their operational authorization, for example. So I really don't understand what the criteria is or the assessment is with respect to them arriving at 44(1)(a) to say, well, actually, we're not giving you that. Now, if there is some sensitive data, they do have the discretion to redact words that might compromise improving or maintaining aviation safety, but at least would get a flavour of what's going on within the information that they hold. Excuse me. So they're not actually doing that either. And that's what I think I'd be going back to them on for an internal review. So CAA, look out, it'll be coming your way.
And what we're talking about here, and only because the AIB told you, it's 10 incidents and 6 with formal investigation. But we didn't know that before did we know that before the AIB told you?
No, I don't think we did. And
no,
that's really interesting because eCares, where we report a lot of incidents, is generally inaccessible. So to get this information has actually given us a bit of insight. Actually, not only is it incidents involving drones, but these are 10 notifications involving police operated UAS, which is also interesting. And then we've got 6 formal investigations into police UAS incidents, which have been launched by the AIB in that same period. So, if it wasn't for the press, we wouldn't have even known about the Isle of Sheppey, for example. But now that Isle of Sheppey incident triggered this, we now know actually there is more going on than we at first thought we knew.
Yeah, exactly. And I sort of I pulled it together like that the NPC have admitted government's not going to exist, but they say there's too many. The CAA says they're not going to release the stuff, citing regulations to protect reporter confidentiality, but confirms it's not investigating the Sheppey. And the AIB was the only people that really did anything. I should have thought about these slides some more, but that's how I summed it up.
Yeah, and I think that's right. Yeah, that seems to me to be entirely relevant. I mean, it's it's now what we're doing now is saying to the regulator, but also other government bodies here, why are you all operating in silos? Why can't you now come together for the benefit of the drone industry? And I think, that's a really important thread that I would like to draw out of that, Gary, that there's definitely things that can be learned here for the benefit of all in the drone industry. And what we've done by doing this is merely highlight how there is a silo in between each organization where they could easily come together and discuss it, and even put out something in Chirp or whatever it's going to be, right, with respect to this.
Yeah. So it feels I can't believe that the other chaps. I'm hogging this too much. I can't believe that the NPCC want to operate in a dangerous and reckless manner. I can't believe that for a second, and I am surprised that.
But I do think that that every incident must, it must be reported. Having an incident not reported, I don't think, obviously, I think Richard could probably say this. This is probably not an offence, but what would you call that if they don't report? I mean, it would be the same if there was, like an airline incident, and if they didn't report it. What are the consequences of that of the crew? But something as serious as for the one that happened on that one with the boy, there's two incidences there, because it hit a power line. That's one incident, and two, it hit a member of the public. So there's two incidents there actually, which are actually quite serious, because if you do hit a power line, that is infrastructure. So there is, so there's the power company has to know, or the telephone company or whatever, and then you have a child. So what is the line there if they don't report it? What is?
I think that's a really good point, and I would take you back to your operational authorization, because in that application you have an obligation that usually, and it's looked for, that any incident of any type, and you can list all the types, in your risk assessment or is connected to your risk assessment, you have to report it to ECAS or another appropriate authority. And that responsibility lies with the accountable manager of that organization. And if you are defective and found to be defective in reporting, then the regulator has the power to suspend, revoke, or cancel your operational authorization, entirely, and so that's the outcome ultimately that the regulator has with respect to non-performance and notification of incidents.
Does this always? But these are operating as state aircraft. I hope I got the term right there. Does that apply? What regulations apply to state aircraft? Because they're not quite under the purview of the CAA, are they? Unlike commercial drone operators.
So, forgive me, I don't know the precise law on that, and I'd have to do a bit more reading on it. But state aircraft, have a certain exemptions or exceptions to certain rules. Would I go far as state immunity? I don't think I would. Just on the premise of we're dealing with aviation and the impact that aviation has when flying, a platform, then there's got to be some degree of accountability and responsibility. So, in answer to your question, Gary, I think that there are some exceptions, maybe from oversight from the CAA, the regulator, but there's got to be accountability within the government itself, and that's where I'm looking.
Because I don't really understand what it would be the same as what's the relationship between the Civil Aviation Authority and the RAF, because that's the same thing, the state aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah, but they act under their own authority. The Military Aviation Authority is what they come under.
Yes.
I don't know if the NPCC come under the MAA.
Yeah, so that's also so the MAA sorts out well, not the licensing, but the certification or military versions of that of the airframes, and sorts it out much like the CAA does.
But generally, their rules mirror the CAA rules for the most part.
Yes. So where have NPCC managed to scuttle themselves? Now, I heard something today which is going to make Mark. Oh yeah, I pointed the right way. It's going to make Mark chuckle, and maybe Stephen else. But I heard they were told by the CAA that perhaps they should be flying under Article 16 model aircraft flying rules, and apparently, allegedly, I'm going to say it. The BMFA said, "I tell you what, no, thank you." So I do wonder how we've ended up in this weird no man's land situation for the NPCC.
Well, there's also something else that we've all forgotten as well. If we go back in time, so that lovely year, I believe it was 2018. So if we rewind to that lovely year that we all know of, 2018, there was a certain drone by a company and it had battery issues. Now, what was happening was this particular drone, its voltage readings were correct, I think, but the time display, there was a bug anyway. There was a firmware bug on displaying true battery information. This drone didn't stay in the sky as expected, and it was coming out the sky. Now, interestingly, it was the police reporting these problems and the fire service that then got flagged by the AAIB or the CAA. It was picked up by them due to the amount of this particular accident. And they went, whole shit sort of thing, excuse my friend. And they went, none of these drones, we don't care if you've got an OSC, we don't care what you're doing, they do not fly in urban areas. We are telling you right now, they put out a safety bulletin and went, you're not doing that. Now, if the police didn't do what they did and the fire service didn't log these reports today, and this, because it was, look, the police back then and the fire service, they were very good at reporting things that were going wrong. You know, I'm just going to say they probably did their reporting a lot better than most. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. You know, a single user in a field that's flying, mapping with this particular drone, and it falls out the sky. They go, "What hell? It was just a battery problem," you know, or whatever. They may have just sent it back to DJI. Nothing more thought of it. Whereas these ones, the police were going, "This is happening too often." The fire service going, "Hang on a minute," and because there were so many so quickly, this is why it was all flagged up. Yes, this particular drone. And, you know, if the NPCC are not going to report and they've decided kind of to brush stuff under a bit, this kind of vital stuff could be missed. Do you know what I mean? We need them to be reporting stuff. You know, we need all operators to be doing it, but especially the police and, you know, places like that, because they probably fly, especially the slightly heavier stuff like the M300 and stuff, in urban areas, doing search and rescue. You know, we need them to be reporting this kind of thing. You know, they should not be sort of scapegoated. You know, they should not be finding a loophole to go, we don't have to do it.
I think
it's not good.
If I could just come back in on that, I think that it's reasonable to expect that any state aircraft have to maintain an appropriate SNS, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, I don't think that absolves them of liability. So for civil liability or for criminal liability, public law accountability, they still remain liable with respect to those aspects. What I think is the key difference is in terms of regulation with the CAA itself, what is it they're not subject to precisely under UK civil aviation law, which is applicable to civilian UAS? Because state immunity, as we rightly said, applies to military, customs and police services. I think it comes out of the Chicago Convention and I think it's referenced somewhere in the ANO too. So that's why they're treated as state aircraft, because there's a foundational aspect in law that relates to that.
Well, the state aircraft bit though is to let them get these BV loss trials done without all the drama, isn't it?
Yes.
That they would face if they were a normal operator. There's the 16 incidents that were there. If they were a normal commercial operator, so
well, they certainly get exemptions, don't they? Because they're state aircraft when it comes to an operational authorization, and that's how they're able to facilitate that.
Yeah, I mean,
so we've got.
Sorry.
It's crazy.
I was just going to say, Mike, we've gone around to this place where, they're reporting stuff, and I'll put that report in the comment as well. I still don't think people can read them, but that reporting thing was great and the right thing to do and how it should be. But they moved towards, and that's, again, interesting that they said they did a search for drones as first responder. Well, again, that answer rather gave the game away, didn't it? Oh, yeah, because that's what you wanted to do.
And there he goes.
There he goes. There you go.
Around all the rules, and you want. Oh, well, it's probably good that I've gone. Am I back?
We'll
Yeah,
have a cup of tea while you're away.
So will they operate as a state aircraft and do these BV loss trials over city centres? When, as Mark has pointed out, we've seen they've had problems with 210s and stuff in the past, falling out the sky. Who let them? Who said it's okay to operate these new drone in a boxes over a city?
It makes a mockery of the whole safety thing. I mean, the thing that annoys me is that we've got, if we look at these statistics, that the really bad accidents are happening to police, Canada, UK, and these are organisations that you think would work exactly to the rules. They wouldn't, because they're the police. They're an authority. They've got to be seen to be following the rules. Yet we have these really bad accidents happening. So that makes it ridiculous that we have the low risk people like the hobbyists operating to a similar set of rules, and they cause no problems. So why are we giving the people who have all the accidents the right to do riskier operations?
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, Stephen.
You're still muted, Stephen.
Still muted.
That button there on the right.
I would just like to say that I said at the end of the show last week that I was going to monitor the Finnish police because they were going to be flying
Oh, that's right.
on Saturday, the weekend here, because it was Independence Day, and Independence Day they always put a massive restriction zone over the whole of Helsinki, and the police are flying because you have these right-wing marches and the left wing are fighting and blah blah blah. So there's always police flying all the drones so they can monitor. So I was going out that evening. I went out maybe half an hour early to go to where I was going, and I took my remote ID and a receiver with me. They were flying with remote ID. I could see all the drones. I could see there was 2 drones over at the Parliament House there. They were flying. They were flying Matrice 4 TDs, so they were flying the Thermal D one with the wings up, and then there was drones next to me as well because the march starts next to where we always have dinner on Independence Day. So there was drones all over the city, and I could see them.
Could you see where the operaters were?
I could see.
Yeah, that's the question I was going to ask.
I could see where they were. I could see the height that they were, and you could see them. So. Hats off to the Finnish police because they were broadcasting remote ID and doing things by the book. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Well, the UK police, I believe, are going to be exempted from doing that.
Yes, and that's why I wanted to do that, because I wanted to just compare to see that. But I kind of thought they would be broadcasting, because I always know the Finnish police are always quite transparent anyway. They're always very open about what they do. So, but they were broadcasting and drones all over. I mean, to see, I think you guys pictures actually. You can see the drones, all over the city. So
this is the problem. By the book seems to me hiding behind regulation. I mean, it's better to have a safety mindset and the right attitude to safety than simply say we're following the regulations, we're good, because there are so many instances where you can follow the regulations and still end up in a heap of trouble. But if you have a safety mindset, you may choose not to do something that is legally allowed because the risk is too high.
It's I think they might be being put into a corner, like dancing earlier, but being put in the corner with this drones as first responders because, you know, they're being told by higher ups that they want this, they've got to do this. It might not be the way. And it certainly can't be the way. If they're doing these experiments, surely they must be collecting safety data as they do this research, because otherwise, what's the point? Why bother? Sorry, a bit ranty, but I just don't get that they haven't got a system together. Any company investing in it, we all decided to buy diggers next week because we're going to become contractors. We all went out and bought them. We'd all compare and contrast our notes of the diggers we bought, and we quickly work out what the most cost-effective way of doing whatever the jobs were. It's not unique to aviation or to industry to not compare results from testing and stuff. I don't understand it.
But especially if it's a research project. So surely if it's a research project, there should be results, because if it's a research project, it will be funded, and you can guarantee that funding will be taxpayers' money. So the taxpayers are entitled to know the results of those research. And if you're not, you know, putting that data down as much as you should do, then the research is not really research, is it? In my view.
Well, what if the systems you were flying were seeded by the company, allegedly, perhaps, maybe legal words. Thank goodness Richard's here. But what if a company sponsored you all the gear to crack on with the research? Does that make it valid research then? And surely you should, like you have to on YouTube, don't you? This video is sponsored by. You've got to put it up there. There's all sorts of things I worry about with these trials. Hopefully they're good.
On just going on to Stephen's point about taking his remote ID out with it, just following on that thread. So you've seen I've been doing a bit of work on this, Gary, this week with that. In the system that you're using, Stephen, does it give you an accurate location of the pilot? Because what I was proposing in my work with the House of Lords to try and get some protections and clarity in the new regulations is to say, look, for those people that aren't law enforcement, you're just going to get a rough and approximate area. It could be 50 meters, it could be 100 meters, somewhere in that location. Because the last thing you want is a pilot who's concentrating, flying a sizable platform in a very sensitive area, and then starts getting harassed, or people start trying to steal his equipment while he's flying. I've heard that as well.
Yeah. In this case, you know, on Saturday, I mean, the police presence was just unbelievable. It was because the past couple of years have been quite bad.
Right.
You know, it's been quite violent, only because of the actual protest, but not towards the police at all. You know, so there was absolutely no risk of the police being under any harm whatsoever.
Did you see exactly where their pilot was from your device?
Yeah.
But with your eyeball as well, with your Mark 1 eyeball, could you locate them? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's very precise in what you're getting back.
Yeah.
I mean, remote ID technically breaches all ICO regulations anyway. Regardless of what's in one law, it breaches ICO. So, you know, you have to consent to app tracking in the UK. You have to consent to things, and you have to have the opt-out, and you have no opt-out. It technically it breaches ICO. The Information Commission Office, it breaches all the rules, regardless of what anyone says. It is a breach of the main law. You can't have another law that just comes along and goes, you're out the way, without something coming in to say X, Y, Z. You know, it unless I'm wrong on that, Richard. But as far as the law is concerned, technically, you cannot be tracked as you walk down the street by any kind of app or anything unless you agree to it. You know, and you have to have the opt-out, and it doesn't allow that.
But
so
we don't have anyone or any document or anything saying here within Europe or even in Finland, even now, there's nothing to say that you must have remote ID active. There's nothing to say that. Now we know that there is a fair amount, a lot of operators, probably more on the hobby side, who do not have the remote ID active. We do know that. But if you are an operator, if you're doing this, if this is your job, then we do like to say that please have your remote ID active, because it's better that that we can see you if we have to fly in that area, because we are flying in areas where there's lots of traffic. So and also from a security point of view, so that if our if our CAA does come down and say you don't have this active, blah blah blah, but for anyone just put up the drone and fly, no one's going to come in and say, do you have remote ID? And we know that the authorities don't have the energy, they don't have the manpower, and off the record, they don't care.
Well, that's exactly what we've seen with the FAA and the US, haven't we? Yeah, they just don't have the manpower to enforce remote ID.
No, but drone detection as a service is coming, and I'm gonna put it up. I've put it in our private chat for Richard, but I'm gonna put it up again. We need to create this, and we need to all do this, and then we all need to take a bounty. We need to build some of these.
I'm going to give it to my tech guys. I'm going to just get that sent to my other company.
I'll buy a couple off you. I'll definitely buy a couple of you. The trouble is there'll be no one around here with it. But I'll send it to the UK, and I'll have it somewhere. But we all had those, and it's what's happening in America. People are offering are setting up services across cities to detect stuff. Bruce, remind me, who was that company that did that a long time ago in New York? There was someone, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was.
The FAA actually commissioned them to do it. So there are citywide networks of sensors already set up.
Yeah, I've actually seen one here in Helsinki now. So I've actually spotted a remote ID receiver. I know exactly where it is. But the thing is, and I mean, this is only my opinion, was that if you want to detect drones, why the hell are you having a remote ID sensor? Because you're not going to get half the traffic. You know what I mean?
You are, but you're going to get it, Stephen, within the locality of where you want to know they are.
Yeah.
So, I could see people putting this on top of their mansions.
Yeah. Well, I would on my mansion here.
I'm in a log cabin, so
yeah.
But
I would feel better. I would feel better with radio frequency, to be honest with you. And to
ANRA, that was it. ANRA. Yes, thanks. Thanks, Bruce. Yeah. That was it. Because if you have radio frequency, then you're going to pick up everything. But I mean, remote ID won't pick up everything, and it will pick up the professionals. But we're filtering it into a different conversation here. One conversation would be counter UAS. What would be the best way of doing that? That's EOIR heads, radio, everything. That would be all the toys. Where I want to lead the conversation is a cheap way of finding people that didn't know they were doing something wrong. The RID will be on the thing. You've got enough detectors in your town. There's a £20 fixed penalty notice for flying your drone in town. Thank you very much. That's what I'm talking about. Not threats of nastiness. Just like
wheel clamping.
Well,
just like exactly.
Look, it's
push everything to
where you've got a public spaces protection order. You can see local councils sticking these all around that area, and if you fly the drone, you're going to get fined.
Yeah. So I say, let's us start that business. Why not us get that money?
We can use it. We can use the revenues to pay our own fines.
So,
yes.
Well, actually, what you could do is you create a subscription service. So what you have is a website, and you go to every council and you go, hey, if you want your public protection site, what we can do is bring a rig unit, put it there, and then you go to our website, you log in, and that service is going to cost you £1,000 or £50 or £100 a month for every site or something. There you go. There's a business plan. I'm doing it now.
The revenue streams, multiple drone block people can go along to subscribe to have themselves not included in the data set.
Yeah, you can,
Sounds
Exactly.
you can always have a white list. You know, I was told I got stopped by the police once. I was flying at the President's Palace last year. I was doing some data collection outside of the area, and the police came, and the police didn't get the call that I was going to be there, but I had informed the President's office and I had informed the Prime Minister's office, but the police didn't get it. There was a shift change or something, so they came back. Anyway, they were like, yeah, it's cool, we know, okay, fine, blah, blah, blah. When I finished and I was heading back to the office, and the police called me to apologise, and they actually said, so this is the Mavic 3 Enterprise yours? I said, yeah, how did you know that? Okay, we'll just put it on a white list here, so it's okay. So they put me on a white list so that drone, whenever it flies anywhere in the city, it's like, it's okay, it's his. So it's like, you know.
But they know it belongs to you, don't they?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the point. Yeah.
But doesn't Flight Radar do something similar where if you've got the money,
you can buy
you pay the money.
Yeah.
You can.
Elon Musk does that.
We will offer double service. So not only will we do it for the council,
people are beginning to offer this service around the world. It's beginning to pop up now.
$10, I'll just drop the RID module out. Lifetime of anonymity.
Well, yeah, and then that's your other counter stuff. But this, you know, this also swings back a little bit to Altitude Angel. It's still, if you have the app, it's still going. The only thing you can't do is approve flights on it. But it brings it back around to that, in that they were seeking to know, you know, if you know lots of the traffic, then that's a big helping hand when trying to detect who the baddies are.
If I could, sorry, Mark, after you.
No, well, I was going to say, I don't believe RIB brings any safety features at all.
No.
I don't believe in it. It doesn't bring safety. It doesn't bring security, because a bad person would make sure that they didn't appear on it, blah, blah, blah. So it is a load of crock. It comes from Gatwick. It was missold in America. YASA was stupid enough to follow the Americans, and we're sheep and we're following YASA. In a nutshell, that's it. I don't see any way, shape or form it's going to stop people flying near prisons. It's not going to stop people flying near airports. Well, sorry, it's not going to stop people misidentifying lights as drones near airports. That's just not going to change. So I you know, RID is one of those most pointless things that could be done. They should have just gone with electronic conspic from day one. If we had done that, so we can see planes in the sky and see each other. We never needed UTMs. I've said this, UTMs look to be dying a death. I don't know what's happened there. It does seems to be a dead space. You know, RIG was never going to help that. It's not going to help manned aviation because we avoid them, you know. And if you're in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden you've got something very big, because the CAA always is scared about the airliner you're going to hit. If it's an airliner below 1,000 feet and you're not near a runway, trust me, you're not flying in the wrong place. That plane has a far bigger problem than you. You know, so to me, RID is just absolutely pointless. It's a cost.
We know RID,
anything.
We know RID is.
We just got to live with it.
Safety. I think they, you know, what the the buzzword for it is basically security, but even then,
it's a lie.
No,
yeah,
it's not. It's not. We just, you know, when we fly in our areas, and you know, we fly and we do have rules. So we have a set of rules for all of our own operators that are flying, and we do want to see them using RID, so that so that we can detect, and we can, because now we're having some drones that shouldn't be there and stuff. So if we want to be able to make sure that we know who is and who isn't, then of course it's good to know. But yeah, and we are starting to see more and more locations here, especially in Helsinki. We're starting to see more and more locations that are now starting to be restricted areas. You know, like the tax office. Like what? Why? I don't know.
It seems an obvious one to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the Polish embassy. is now as well. I mean, the Ukrainian embassy is always there's like a car factory now as well. That's now a restricted area. All the ports, the shipping, anything to do with shipping, shipbuilding is now a restricted area. So it seems to be now that everyone's getting paranoid.
Well, it's because lights in the sky equal.
Yeah, I know.
So you've got to balance this all, haven't you, against major privacy and civil liberty issues, centralized records of every flight, increase of costs and infrastructure. And I think what I was trying to do when because it's mandated in law in the UK to come in next month, what I was seeking to do is to get some further clarity on it. And so when I petitioned a member of the House of Lords, he's going to ask the Secretary of State for Transport to put in a supplemental statutory instrument that's going to offer some clarity. And that's how I've tried to amend the law here. But, it's a real last-ditch attempt to try and do it. But where I was coming from was really two aspects. One is to make the COARSE course the location, so it's de-precision, if you like. So what you end up is a rounding to the nearest 50 to 100 meters. So it's got a bounding box rather than a precise point. And the reason why I wanted to do that was to preserve pilot safety and privacy. It reduces the risk of crowd convergence or confrontation. It complies with the current open broadcast model. It just says you've got to broadcast something, from that perspective. But it still gives enforcement the link that they need between the aircraft and the operator. And so that's what I was looking at. I mean, the other option, apart from that, is a dual profile broadcast where it's open public broadcast with a reduced pilot location field because it's all got to go in one, I think, data when it's sending as a broadcast message, or it's encrypted or authorized broadcast containing full precision data. Now, we already know ADS-B, privacy modes, there's dual advertising, there's all kinds of stuff that already achieve this. But they work because they don't require network RID from that perspective. So it's still a local broadcast, it's non-internet dependent, it's open protocol compliant, and it's within its overall architecture. So that's where I was kind of coming from with this and saying, we shouldn't move to network RID because of those reasons that I gave you. And with this way, I think we can better protect the pilot, when they're flying and everything else, because the local broadcast is there, the payload stays intact essentially. The public can still identify an aircraft, and the regulator and the police can get more accurate coordinates. So that's where I was coming from with this, and that was one of the amendments I tried to put forward in the new statutory instrument that's coming into play.
Well, I just wanted to put in. You said about accuracy. The FAA actually said, "Hello, Apple. Hello, Google. We'd like you to fit much better GPSs into your mobile devices because we're not happy with the Z accuracy that we're going to get out of the operator position." And they were worried about the operator position, and ASTM actually complained to them and said, "Hey, you're talking nonsense." And also, Apple and the Android guys has a sentence ending in "off," which they said to them, and they did.
We often have drone pilots sitting on each other's shoulders, and you need to know exactly which one's responsible.
Yeah, that's right.
What's interesting,
or the still walking ones. Yes.
ASTM style specifications assume a single broadcast payload, and so that's got to be readable by any device within range. And I think that's where it was coming from originally. And that's what I
No, it was the Z. No, it's the Z accuracy. The accuracy,
problem is
the
with
actual
GPS and
device,
vertical.
or the GPS
It
in the
can
vertical.
be massively out. It can be 20 meters out quite easily. The vertical, if you do mapping with a non-RTK drone, for example, and you fly it, and you then get the data, you'll find that some images randomly are tagged very high, and you go, but I've not been higher. All I've done is flying in a straight line, at 80 meters, and all of a sudden you've got an image that's tagging way high, and you go, what's going on? And it's because GPS in the vertical, unless you're using RTK, is pants.
Yeah, full of satellites are low on the horizon. You get the error margin is extremely high.
It's a network grid wouldn't work in the UK because the cell network is absolutely dire. I know
So that's what they wanted. They wanted 15 feet.
They don't live in the real world.
They wanted 15 feet, but it was actually 15 meters is what they were getting.
Yeah.
So
does Richard know whether you're going to have to put your digital ID on your remote ID information?
Oh yeah,
everything. I mean, look, I think digital ID will be every bit as successful as remote ID was.
I mean, at the minute, the way here's the thing about digital ID, and we're now also having these cameras in the streets in the UK that literally record you as you walk down the street, facial recognition, this and the other. Here's the absolute craziest BS around all of it. The police can do this. So the police can have a system, it records you walking down the street and it knows who you are, because it'll just look your passport information up or face ID, you've got a driving license, it will know who you are. However, we could have a borderless system, so you never go into the passport again as you come through the border, where you have to unfold it, wait in a queue and all that. We could get rid of all that thanks to facial recognition, because it just scans you, that's your passport, on you go through. However, because of the laws on retaining that information for any kind of long term, the border force, or the bit that does all the security in and out of the country, they cannot do that because the law says they can't hold that data for X amount of time. So instead of making a slight law adjustment, we will be forever stuck with the passport. But if they wanted to, they could remove all passport border control, just have security there that goes, that person isn't who he says he is, grab him. And we could do that for everyone going in and out the country. But it's one of those things where they go, this law says they can't do it because of this simple little bit. It's nuts.
I think it's a bit more complex than that.
Honestly, it's not. There's a little bit of law that says they cannot hold it. The border force cannot hold it under legislation for X amount of time. It actually works. It's been said we could do this, but we can't do it because of this little bit of law that they won't change. It's nuts, Richard. Honestly, it's just bonkers.
I think it's all to do with the purpose. What is the purpose of you retaining the law? And that's where we get into timing. With respect to LFR, live facial recognition, what the police are actually doing is uploading images of criminals or persons of interest, and they're scanning that against the background of everybody that's in that area. But if you're not identified, it'll immediately deletes the data, or as soon as they depart the area, as far as I'm aware. And that's because the purpose is no longer sufficient for what they've designed it for.
Yeah, which is why they would have to change the law on storing the data for border force. That's the critical bit, how they store the data and how long they
There's a different application. There's a different application, and it will come down to the purpose ultimately.
Yes.
So they can delete the photos, but they could create a unique hash for every ID and keep that, couldn't they?
Yeah. Essentially, it's anonymization, which we have in EU law.
But at a later date, they could then use that hash to track an individual after the event.
We're not
potentially.
Richard, we're not in the EU. We can change the law now. We can rewrite.
We have GDPR. We took on GDPR, didn't we?
They're great cars, aren't they? TVR.
They are great cars. Yeah, I've had several. The but I thought all the cool kids were using.
GDPR, we've got ICO, Information Commissioner's Office, back to RIB, and there's a law that says you cannot be tracked unless. So, you should ask your members in Parliament which law supersedes which one. That'd be a nice question to ask.
Well, we all know that. It's primary legislation, which is an act, unlike the Civil Aviation Act, and then it's statutory instruments, which is secondary legislation, and then you've got other regulations, and then in our world, we've got CAA documents, which are guidance only.
Oh,
I know that.
CAA documents are guidance only on RID, then, is what you're saying.
Well, they should be, shouldn't they? But they'll reflect back to primary or secondary legislation that they've put through Parliament. That's the point. So although it's guidance only, acceptable means of compliance or whatever it's going to be, it will still relate back to some form of legislation or regulation if A, they've interpreted it properly themselves, or B, it's correctly stated within documentation. I've seen some recent documentation that's 7 or 8 years old. That is CAA documentation, for example. So, it's got to be up to date and in accordance with the law.
Yes. Now, joining us late, and I've noted that you're late.
Gary's speaking, but he's not pushing the little button. He's looking confused. He can't see why can't speak.
Am I speaking? Can you not hear me?
He's talking.
Hello, mother.
He's going. There'll be a button down here, Gary. What you got to do is look. There'll be a button where you got to press it to talk.
I am speaking to you via the miracle of Royal.
We can hear you fine. It must be your speakers, Mark. We can hear
it does it sometimes. You got to log in and out. I've noticed it with this live streaming thing. Sometimes you lose one person's audio, but it's you.
Well, might all be mine. I've noticed that Think Flight is late and very tardy, so I won't tell the dear viewers to go to his channel. Actually, it might not be your main channel.
Make yourself lucky, Mark,
because he announced an aircraft project or some more aircraft project, interesting aircraft project that he's working on. Maybe you could like to put the channel you put it on. I don't think it was your main channel, wasn't it? But because he's late, I won't tell people to do that, to go off and do that very good thing. And I now have forgotten. I wondered why Mark kept talking over me.
Yeah. Never mind. What, has you gone to sleep again, Gary? Mark, the internet's working really well today.
It's all going awfully well, isn't it? Think Flight's got a great new video. Watch his video.
Gary, so I can hear what he's saying.
Outcome Group, that's the one. Outcome Group. The company channel's Outcome Group. Have a look at the Outcome Group video. It's well worth a video. Once again, designing lovely looking things. His aircraft are always lovely looking. And as we all know in the world of aviation, if it looks right, it flies right. The thing I was going to say about all that facial recognition was I thought the cool kids all did gait recognition now. And that is the problem because they don't admit they're doing it. And gait recognition is more reliable than face recognition.
Is it the way you walk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And they'll say, they'll put up cameras.
And then it stopped again. I heard one word. He said yes, and it's gone.
That's all I need to say.
You're on the quota, Mark.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get one word every 5 minutes now. Is that the quota?
We're coming up to the hour, and I would like to do this at the hour. Bruce, you've been flying that digital FPV system.
Yes, I have.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I'm surprised for $35 for a VTX. It's brilliant, absolutely fantastic, and the goggles are cheap too. So I think if they make more powerful transmitters, it'll be great. What I'm not happy about is this bloody DJI.
Yes.
I spent money on this so I could fly my little drone further, and it still only goes 50 meters because I'm not logged in. And to log in, you need a network connection. Why does DJI need me to log in to fly my damn drone? They don't have geofencing anymore, so it's nothing to do with that. I think the USA
I can't think of any reason.
Maybe they're uploading my flight logs without telling me, and they just want to be able to spy on us. I think it should be banned. Ban the bloody DJI.
Are we gonna have a party on the 23rd? Should we? We should have beers or something.
We should have some kind of live stream that goes.
We should, shouldn't we? We should have
the stream of grumpiness.
Yes, and bring your own alcohol.
Yeah.
I keep going. I keep going down a flipping
You
internet.
do.
Look,
you do.
Richard,
And
you've
Mark
done an
does too.
amazing job.
I'm not.
with those for
I'm
us.
not an alcohol drinker, but
Yeah,
No, no, fair enough.
it's Stephen's
no,
favourite drink.
I don't know.
I still can't hear Gary.
I know, and I keep talking.
Well, now he's using sign language though, so you're all right, Mark.
Yeah, yes. And now the gallery. That's for UK viewers only. Only UK viewers will know what that is. Do. Anyway, Richard, thank you very much for those foyers. They really uncovered a lot, and it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes and what happens with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I'll keep it posted.
Absolutely, it's I feel sorry for the NPCC, and I don't feel sorry for the NPCC. They're in a hard place, and I feel sorry for the CAA. So there needs to be. Oh, he's gone. Oh, good. there needs to be some clarity on what's happening there for the sake of the
Gary
wide.
can say that. You know, Gary can say because he's in South Africa, so he can say that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
going to go after him.
Yeah, but that's the trouble, isn't it? People are afraid to speak up about things because they have commercial businesses, whereas if they make a noise, they can be shut down, and that's wrong. So, you know,
Defund the police.
Defund the police. But Ian won't. He won't have a commercial drone. Ian Hudson won't have a commercial drone in this business again because he's making a noise and he knows he's going to have trouble, and that's wrong. It's not right.
It's like what I done last week with that U-Space article that I wrote and put out. Upset a lot of people. I've upset some very people that really want to make sure that U-Space is, you know, keeps them funded. Let's say, you know, for their projects, and you know, and I don't give a damn.
A minute and 2 minutes. There we are, and I broke down again. So, dear viewer, wherever you are in the world, look after yourselves. We'll see you again next week at 2100 Gin and Tonic, ever closer to the DJI, not ban. See you all next week, everybody. Look after yourselves wherever you might